Ryan, who would you pick between John Morant and Jalen Brunson to be your lead guard?
Absolutely. And I like how you say lead guard because I think Jalen Brunson's a really good example of a lead guard, a leader of a team, a guy who runs the team. He's not very athletic. He's a big body point guard, but his mind, his footwork, they're just elite. He's really efficient, 44% from three. But the thing about Jalen Brunson compared to John Morant, as we know, John Morant's a star type player. People look at him as a star. People watch the Grizzlies to see John Morant, right? He's flashy. He gets a lot of big dunks. Um, and John Morant's really young. This will be his fifth year in the NBA. Feels like he still has room to improve and to get better. And I feel like Jalen Brunson has maxed out on his peak potential, right? He's like a 24-6 guy right now. Um, and to be fair, I mean, it's not a bad thing. He's a lot better than I thought he would be, even on his little run in Dallas when he kind of went crazy in the playoffs and got that big contract. Definitely earned that contract. But my thing is, I don't think Jalen Brunson is a number one option like John Morant is. Jalen Brunson might be better off as your third best player, maybe second, depending on who's on your team. And I just think John Morant is a star who you want leading your team in the playoffs. So I go with Ja because of the ceiling he gives to your team. Well, I see Brunson as more of a floor raiser, prevents you from being bad to a certain point, when John Morant gives you more of a chance to win big time games.
I agree with that take 100%. I think you've nailed it right on the head. Jalen Brunson is a floor raiser. Your ceiling, if he is your best player, is what we kind of saw out of the Knicks last year, right? Second round exit, maybe can surprise some teams in the first round. Don't think you're really building a championship caliber team if he is your lead guard. Maybe alongside a Giannis or a Jokic, but you can throw almost dang near anybody next to those guys, and you have a championship caliber team. So that's really not saying much. Just for some stats purposes, just to throw this out, Morant last season, that's how I'm going to base this off. It's 26.2 points per game, 6 rebounds per game, 5.9. So 6 rebounds per game and 8 assists a game last year. 46.5% from the field, 30% from three. So he's really, he's a streaky shooter. There are times when he can get hot from three, as we saw in the playoff series against LA, but not really consistent enough to be much of a threat. You definitely gap him. You go under on ball screens. And 3.5 turnovers a game. So he's relatively turnover prone. Brunson, averaging 25 points per game this year, basically 24.8. 3.5 rebounds, 5.5 assists, 46% from the field, 46.5. So identical field goal percentage compared to John Morant last season. 44% from three. That is the one area that Jalen Brunson is definitively better than John Morant in. Way better shooter. And only 2 turnovers a game. So he definitely makes less mistakes as your lead guard. But like you were saying, Jalen Brunson just doesn't have the it factor that a number one caliber player needs, and John Morant does. But it was a lot closer than I thought after looking at the stats.
Yeah, Jalen Brunson, like I mentioned, he earned the contract. I honestly even thought he was overpaid when he first went to New York. Turned out to be a lot bigger signing than I think a lot of people realized. He's definitely a good player. But John Morant he has that star. He has those intangibles that just lead him over the top of this matchup.
Well, speaking to Brunson's contract, is there a better contract in the NBA right now?
For a player of his caliber, there's very few to be paying that guy just a little over 20 million for a all-star, all-NBA caliber type guard.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's a lot closer than people think, especially because Brunson, he really is a leader. As soon as he got to New York, the attitude of that team changed. Whereas John Morant, is he the type of guy you want leading your franchise? Just, personality-wise, that's a big question. But as far as what they do and are capable of on the court, Ja Morant is a better basketball player. He's just more explosive. He's got the star it factor. But Brunson, he's one of those blue-collar, lunch pail type players where he does the dirty work. He'll get in there. He'll beat you his way. He can, just ask Donovan Mitchell what happens every year in the playoffs. So
and
I'm leaning Morant, but as far as contract goes, Brunson's probably the best contract in the NBA.
Well, and to be fair, I mean, Jalen Brunson is almost as if a normal person made the NBA in a way, right? He's not super tall. He's not super athletic. Doesn't have any of those crazy things, but he's really smart, plays with fundamentals. He controls what he can control, and it's got him to where he's at right now.
And the funniest thing is he is a post god.
Mm-hmm.
That's barely 6 foot tall. You know what I mean? He'll back you down and hit that little fadeaway. It's funny to watch Jalen Brunson play because I'm like, how does this guy score so efficiently? It's just all footwork, bro. It's all footwork. Where Ja Morant is way more flash. But, Morant can finish at the rim. He's top 3 finisher at the rim in the NBA.
Jump over people.
6'3", so
yeah.
And then he's also, it might be volume, but he's a bit better of a playmaker than Jalen Brunson is. Maybe just because he has the ball in his hands more. But assist-wise, it's not really close. They can score comparably. Brunson's a better shooter, but it really is that it factor for me when it comes to Morant.